Well, I guess I don't do it with him, right? I can't believe I'm doing this. Hey everyone, Raptorspank here, and today we have On the Grind, the show where I cover a deck I'm playing in Ranked. We'll break down the deck, talk about some flex spots, some basic mulligans, and then we'll put the deck through some ranked matches and see how we do. Now, this week I wanted to do a couple of different decks. I was very excited for Lurker Aggro, and I have to admit those were the most miserable games of Legends of Runeterra I've probably ever played. I don't think I've missed a trigger so many times in my life. I was running 34 lurk cards and 6 non-lurk cards, so odds were extraordinarily in our favor to hit lurk every attack, and yeah, I think I probably hit lurk 50 to 60% of the time over the course of 10 games, which is some insane RNG bad luck, but yeah, I decided I wasn't in the mood for that, so we dropped that, and we're playing a deck from last patch. I played a handful of different decks, but I decided I haven't done a deck guide on dragons yet, so this is the week for that. So what this is essentially kind of like the old classic Targon Demacia mid-range deck that used to exist. Back then it was kind of like Leona. There's a Leona Lux one. That was pretty fun for a while there. But now we're running Shyvana, Zoe, Aurelion Soul, that kind of thing. And we have a lot more of a dragon sub-theme than the old mid-range deck did. But basically the idea here is we're just going to try to outvalue and grind our opponent out with things like life gain cards, but also just really good, nice cost-effective units. So first off the bat, we do have those 2 copies of Zoe. Essentially, what she does in this deck is just kind of give us a bunch of really neat catch-all value. It can get us Equinox for dealing with major threats that just need to be silenced permanently, things like overwhelmed threats or lifesteal, anything like that. Also gets us stuff like the Serpent for Challenger, although that did just get nerfed, so it is a lot weaker than it was. It does also get us things like, say, the Trickster for aerial damage, and if we do ever flip our Zoe, she's going to absolutely take over the game super quickly because we have a lot of ways to pass keywords onto all of our units. So that's one of the best reasons to run her, is just this great value engine that starts as early as turn 1, and she can always be a chump blocker into the aggro matchups as well. Up from there, we do have the main champion of the deck, though, 3 copies of Shyvana. This is just our really, really good value card. She gets bigger and bigger over time, essentially, because we can level her up very easily because of a number of strike spells, as well as a lot of other dragons. So all of that combined together to make it so Shyvana can actually level up very, very easily. And then when she does, she gets bigger and bigger every single turn that she attacks. So that's one huge benefit there. She also gives you combat trick spells with Strafing Strike when she attacks on her leveled up form. And even at her low level form, she's still a really good cost-effective unit because she's a 3/4 for 3 mana, or 4 mana, but she's even a 4/5 if we've managed to land a Dragon Chow before. So that's really, really good. And when she attacks, she gets +1/+1 for that round. So she can attack fairly aggressively without risking herself. Just all sorts of good value we get out of her. Finally, 1 copy of Aurelion Soul. This is kind of like our penultimate finisher. We don't want a ton of this because we don't want too many high cost cards, but one of Aurelion Soul is just really, really good. He's a dragon as well, so benefits from our dragon synergies that we have, and then just in general, I mean, he's going to invoke something when you play him. He levels up very easily because we have a lot of large units, and once he does, he's just invoking us stuff every turn that's going to slowly outvalue our opponent. So lots of great value we get from 1 copy of Aurelion Soul, but we don't want more than that. As for the follower package, we start off with 3 copies of Dragon Chow. This is just another great card for the deck because we do have a number of dragons that when they come down, they'll strike this, which kills the Dragon Chow, which then buffs our dragon, which is really, really awesome. But then we also draw a card, so we keep our hand full, cycling through things. And in general, too, we usually get our value out of Dragon Chow before this even happens, because we can play it, block something, it's usually going to live because this is 0/3, and then we kill it and get those great rewards. You can also pump Dragon Chow, too, so it can kill the things that it blocks while it doesn't die as well. So that's really, really solid, and this works very well against aggro decks. Then we do have 3 copies of Dragon Guard Lieutenant. This is just a great value card. It's a 3/2 for 2, so nice stat line. But it can usually have Challenger because we do have a lot of dragons in our deck with Screeching Dragon, Eclipse Dragon, Shyvana, and Aurelion Soul. So oftentimes this will come down with Challenger as well, which means we can really set up blocks how we want them and punish decks that are going to have smaller 1-power units because we can just kill them for free with Dragon Guard Lieutenant and clear the way for some of our bigger attackers later in the game. We do also have 2 copies of Mountain Goat, which is another great 3/2 for 2, but this one has the added benefit of it's going to be generating us gems every time it hits, which we can use to heal our dragons, which is good because oftentimes our dragons do take damage, and while Fury is making them bigger and bigger, eventually their health is going to get run down, so things like gems to heal them back up, really, really good for the deck. And again, it's a 3/2 for 2, so great stat line as well. We do also have 2 copies of Laurent Protege. That's because it's a really solid challenger with a 2/4 body, so it can kill a lot of things in the current meta without dying itself. We can use pump spells on it too to help kill bigger targets as well, and just in general, it's just a nice blocker and attacker that can clear away some of the more problematic decks that have a lot of easy-to-kill units that they play a bunch of, like Azir Aurelia. And we do also have 2 copies of Solari Sunforger as a way to deal with all of the aggro decks that are in the format right now. This is a nice solid gain us 5 life the turn we play it. Or it just fogs for a turn because we play this and then your opponent doesn't attack, and then, wow, we accomplished so much right there. We just saved ourselves an entire turn. And you can also use combat tricks with Solari Sunforger to even potentially gain multiple packages of 5 health a turn, using things like single combat and concerted strike. We also have 3 copies of the Fangs to give us even more lifesteal, and this also comes with a nice invoke, and while the Fangs did get nerfed, it's still a fairly solid card to use, and again, since it does invoke as well, we get some other valuable card just by playing the Fangs too, and we can use things like Sharpsight to pump the Fangs to have it survive an attack, gain us a bunch of life, so there's a lot of value we still get out of it despite having 1 less power. I also am running 1 copy of Radiant Guardian, because Radiant Guardian is usually one of our best ways to deal with aggro decks, so it is a nice include in the deck because it's a 4/5 with lifesteal and tough as long as something dies, and since we have so many easy-to-kill creatures like the Fangs that your opponent is going to want to kill, as well as things like Dragon Guard Lieutenant and Laurent Protege that can force one of our units to die, or even, say, a Serpent off of Zoe or the Fangs, we can trigger Radiant Guardian very easily and then get a lot of value out of this card as it attacks turn after turn, and it requires a lot from our opponent to kill it because of that tough. We also have 3 copies of Screeching Dragon, the best dragon in the game. Really just solid include. 5 mana, 4/5. It has Fury, so it gets bigger and bigger. It has Challenger, so we kill anything that we need to deal with. So just a really, really good card. One of the best dragons, if not just the best dragon ever printed. So obviously it's an easy 3 of. And finally, 2 copies of Eclipse Dragon. This does a lot of good things for us. We can play it with Daybreak in order to make our next dragon cost 2 less, which is a great combo with turn 7 Eclipse into turn 8 Aurelion Soul. But if we can trigger Nightfall on it, it also refills our hand with a bunch of big units because it gives us Celestials and Dragons, and oftentimes Celestials, it can give us a lot of massive Celestials. So just a lot of value we can get out of this on either end, playing at Daybreak or Nightfall. So really good include, and a huge Fury Dragon as well, since it's a 7/7 for 7. So we got that perfect stat line we're looking for there. Now, as for the spell package, this is where we get into a little bit of the spicier things. I'm still not sold on this card, and in fact, there's probably a good chance that I'll end up going down some copies or dropping it completely, but I didn't want to just shuffle up a deck from last season, so I'm running 3 copies of Field Promotion. It does have some really good combos we can get here, because obviously giving Scout to something like Shyvana, who has attack triggers, or, the Fangs can be good if your opponent has an empty board, but even better would be things like Radiant Guardian, Screeching Dragon, Eclipse Dragon. You can even use it on a Zoe to some fairly good effects too by generating multiple hits a turn, so we're instantly cost reducing her create card. So there's a number of good things we can use Field Promotion on, so I'm trying it out, seeing how it does. I'm hoping to live the dream with it, but it's definitely not the best Field Promotion deck, but certainly we do have a lot of cards that get value out of it. Also, of course, 3 copies of Sharpsight, one of the best pump spells in the game, since it gives your unit +2/+2 and allows it to block elusives, so that's really, really solid. Something we definitely like to have in our deck because elusives could be a problem for us since Zoe is the only card that has elusive on it already, although she can help us find other elusive threats. But essentially, elusives can be a problem for us, so having something like Sharp Sight to allow us to block them really helps round out the deck's defenses. And we also have 3 copies of Single Combat because it's one of the most effective Demacia removal spells, and we do often have larger units than our opponent, so this can often be one-sided where we just kill their thing and our thing lives. And we do also have 2 copies of Hush because Thresh Nasus is still out there, and this is a great answer for that. It's also a good answer for Fjord decks, things like that. So there's a lot of things we can catch with Hush that does great work for us, but I've gone down from 3 copies to 2 because there's not quite as much with the nerfs to Thresh that came through. And finally, 2 copies of Concerted Strike. Actually probably the best Demacia removal spell because there's just so many good tricks we can do with this. We can use it with a life stealer to gain extra life. We can use it with a Fury unit to make our Fury unit even bigger. It is one-sided, so our opponent's not hitting our stuff. So we just get so much out of this. We have so many keywords that care about killing units or hitting units, so lots of value we get out of this, and it's a nice way to kill very large units by hitting them with 2 of our massive units. Or it can also deal with Spell Shield too by having the first one strip the Spell Shield and the second thing kill it. So obviously it's an easy include in the deck. But as for some flex spots, there's a number of things you can do, mostly in the spell package side of things, but there are a couple of units that have come in and out of Demacia and Targon mid-range decks over the year. So that includes things like you can always put in Fleet Feather trackers if you're seeing a lot more aggro, which right now we kind of are with Bilgewater Burn, and Fleet Feather Tracker is kind of a good answer for that deck. Also, Bright Steel Protector is nice because it can come down and give barrier to something else, so you can use that to attack more aggressively, or you can always use it to just protect something else and get more than 1 block out of a unit, so that's really, really solid, and it is a 3-2 for 2, so that's good too. If we did see things start to go more mid-rangey, you can definitely include like a 1-of Infinite Mind Splitter. It's definitely not great into aggro decks, but it is good into like combo decks and also mid-range decks where they usually have a couple big threats that if we keep tapping them down aren't going to be able to do much, or in the case of like combo decks like Swain decks, we can just make sure the Swain never attacks, and those decks have a very hard time removing their own Swain, so they're usually not going to be able to play a new Swain and get to attack with that, and they're usually not going to be able to kill something as massive as Mind Splitter too, so that's great for those kind of decks, but not running it right now because we're not seeing a ton of them, but I could see those coming back now that Make It Rain's been buffed or reverted. And then as for some spells, that's where we get a little more into the interesting things. You can run Blinding Assault. Old versions of this deck did it, but those decks ran more Radiant Guardians, so the idea was you play Blinding Assault, and that gave you a guaranteed way to basically trigger your Radiant Guardian. So it's a nice way to convert spell mana into challengers, but right now I don't think we necessarily need that, and it does die to pretty much anything, so we don't have a lot of ways to make it live. So right now I'm not running it, but it's something to consider. Now what I really cut to make room for field promotion was the copies of Dragon's Clutch that people were running. You're not often going to use this to buff your dragons. It's not going to be like never, but it's still not often going to happen. Usually you're going to be using this for drawing dragons to make sure that you have those dragons, and I just decided that with the critical mass of dragons in this deck, I felt that it wasn't as necessary, but I just really wanted to play field promotion. But it's definitely something you can include to kind of increase the consistency. What I am much more tempted to include, though, is Star Shaping. I've talked about how broken this card is for so many seasons, but they did nerf it, but realistically speaking, healing 4 and pulling you a win condition is still, like, certainly amazing for our deck. Something we definitely can use and get a lot of value out of. So I like the idea of Star Shaping. I'll probably try to get it into the deck if I play more going forward. I'm going to almost certainly be looking at Star Shaping to get in the list somewhere to deal with kind of some of the burn decks we're seeing lately, which, going into kind of mulligans, we really do just want to kind of build a great board state. So against most decks, we're looking to just curve out nicely and get like a turn 4 Shyvana, turn 5 Screeching Dragon, that sort of thing, and just get a lot of value going. But oftentimes we're kind of board control-y, kind of hard control, in the sense of there's a lot of aggro decks right now, so that's why we have so many challengers, is so we can play them and kill our opponent's aggressive threats before they can do too much damage to us. So oftentimes you will also be building your hand based on dealing with your opponent's deck. So against aggro decks, you're looking for a good curve, something like turn 1 Dragon Chow that can soak up a number of blocks into like turn 2 Mountain Goat or Dragon Guard Lieutenant, so we're getting those blockers out early. And then you just want to look for some sort of late-game lifesteal. Sunforger can work, although the Fangs and Radiant Guardian are kind of a more guaranteed way to get a ton of lifesteal, because they keep lifesteal even after the turn ends, so if your opponent blocks the Sunforger and then kills their unit, you're not going to gain life, whereas Fangs and Radiant Guardian, you're going to continue to be able to gain life every turn, potentially. So that's what you're looking for against the aggro decks. Against mid-range decks, you're looking for things that are going to trade very effectively. So Mountain Goat and Dragon Guard Lieutenant are really, really good. A lot of mid-range decks are actually going to have a hard time dealing with elusives, so Zoe can even be good in a pinch. And then Shyvana, with her damage buff and health buff when she attacks, she's also going to be able to hold her own against a lot of threats. Same for Screeching Dragon. So just look to curve out nicely with high damage threats, and then get into a great late game of things like Eclipse Dragon, Aurelion Soul. Those are going to be really, really effective. Against control decks, you want to kind of go aggressive. Things like Zoe, those 3/2s as well. Get as much damage as you can early. Life gain's not going to be as relevant. And then just look to use Aurelion Soul and Eclipse Dragon to generate you some huge celestial threats that most control decks are going to have a hard time dealing with. And that's the deck for this week's episode. So if you like the deck, there is a deck code and a deck link in the description below. And let's jump into some ranked and see how we do in the new season. Okay, Thresh Nasus, no Fearsome anymore. Okay, well that should make it slightly better. Also we have Hush, which was always good for this matchup, although does not mean we will see it. Zoe into Zoe Sharpsight, fairly good. Although that said, we are definitely not doing what we need to do in order for this game to go our way. What am I gonna do, bud? Well, what am I gonna do? Are you thinking about Ravenous Butchering? Like killing your own Bakai Reaper to increase your turn 1 damage output? Now, what we want to do here is play Mountain Goat. But, if you Vile Feast our Zoe, we will Sharpsight. I mean, I can also bank the mana. That's fine. Banking the mana is a real choice we can make. Oh, Lord. There we go. That's what we want. Then we can play Dragon Chow. More blocks. Yeah, Dragon Guard Lieutenant's actually pretty good here.
We were forged in dragon fire.
Because this can kill his Reaper. If he doesn't have a way to do that.
You will serve through me.
Yep. No need to challenge him. If he wants the trade, he can have it. And otherwise, I'd rather he trade with Mountain Goat. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. We're getting good damage in. I think we just lose the Zoe, right? Wait, hang on. No. We're just gonna lose Zoe here. Although, do we just kill him anyways? Yeah, I think we go for this anyways. That way he doesn't get value out of it. Because if he sacks Thresh to draw cards, then like he can't kill the Zoe. So he has to choose which one's better for him. Oh, I should have healed. Oh wait, it wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have mattered. Black Spear would have killed him anyways. It did not matter. Okay, and then we play Protege next turn. Right? I can play Fangs too, but I think Proteges are better play here.
Strength and grace, beauty in the play.
And see if he runs the Thresh. Oh, not Thresh, the Nasus into this. But yeah, he could do something like that. And then we just kill it. One Thresh down, one Nasus down. And we're not particularly close to killing our opponent right now, but, you know, we're not terribly far either. I mean, if he has another Nasus, we're kind of still in trouble anyways.
The cycle begins anew.
I can kill that. That's disgusting. I can kill that.
What good comes in morbid greed? Punishment, if I serve as an example. A duty fulfilled a life.
Makes him 5/5, 7/7. Do I just kill him? Do I just do it automatically? Well, I guess I don't do it with him, right? I can't believe I'm doing this. I don't know that that was worth it. I'm going to be real honest with you. I don't know that that was worth it. You know what? I can take that hit. I think having the challenger is worth a little bit more for the long run. No guarantee of that, though. I like that. I do like that. Does he have another Nasus? Because that's what he needs. Does he have all three? Okay, yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's not fine, but it's not game over for us. Not yet. He is pretty deep into his deck, though. Ugh. Well, he has found all of his Nasuses, so if we draw a way to kill this... Yeah, which we don't. Which we do not. What do we throw in front of that? Probably the Protege.
We love it when they run.
Yeah, I think we're in for drawing cards right now. Oh no. Oh no, he threw. Although maybe we can't take that damage. He definitely could have played that turn better, just in general. Okay. Destroy Mana Crystal to draw Thresh. Alright. Yeah, that's fine. We're gonna play the Lieutenant. Not great.
I am always here when you need me. They are nothing.
Ready weapons.
Can block 4 damage. And the leveled up version does have Fearsome still. Okay. He kills one of our units so we can play Radiant. Oh, we won! Oh. Oh, he blocked wrong. Oh. Oh, wow. That's rough. I mean, we could have played Radiant Guardian, and the important thing is Radiant Guardian could block the next turn, although he could have pulled it with Thresh.
They couldn't take the heat.
Although Nasus wasn't strictly lethal yet, damage-wise, but yeah, that was weird. We'll take it, though. On to the next. Okay, Lurker aggro. We will see how this matchup goes for us. I really don't know. I like Zoe. I like Zoe a lot. I can't keep this many 4-drops or like this many expensive cards, so yeah, we'll go Zoe into Dragon Chow. That's fine. We got some life gain. We got some life gain. Things are working.
Trickster never loses because Zoe makes the rules.
Zoe cards are fairly good against Lurk. Dragon Chow's not that bad either. What's he thinking of doing, like the -2, -0 predict card? Oh, he does not have the perfect curve out, but he can kill my Zoe, and that's fairly sad. That we're not happy about. Ooh, that we are happy about. Yep, eats the Zoe, deals a bunch of damage. Come on. Play the Dragon Guard. I think we probably play Shyvana next turn regardless, right? Although she does die fairly easily here. Well, I think we still play her. We play her and we hope he doesn't have a Snapjaw.
Your people, Anna, and you ours.
Okay. Okay, well I can just do this. Okay. And that should be game. We were not expecting the Bone Skewer. I will admit we were not expecting the Bone Skewer. I mean, it doesn't really matter, actually. It doesn't. I don't need to attack this turn. He's not going to open swing because he's going to play Rek'Sai, presumably. Because he'd be nuts not to play Rek'Sai here. Okay. He's crazy.
Guard the walls.
And that has us live. Now we get to play Radiant Guardian.
For the fallen.
Okay, plays a Pike. One of his cards in hand is Rek'Sai. Okay, so we go Protege and we go Fangs. Okay, one of his cards is Rek'Sai. Oh wait, not Fangs, I mean Mountain Goat. Okay, I mean that is terrifying. So we kill this. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. We don't actually need to attack here. So we Sunforger Dragon Guard. Assuming we live. Which is a not so healthy assumption to make. Yeah. Don't think this can find us anything that works. Alright, well. Yeah, that's that makes Lurker aggro look like a good deck, which is it's not. So, yeah, I guess that's a pretty bad matchup for us. On to the next. Okay, Lurker aggro rematch. No mastery, so you can tell why this person is playing the deck, because he does not realize yet that it is a terrible deck. That crushing realization comes later. I feel like, well, maybe we don't. Maybe we keep the sharp sight over the hush. Hard to say. It does not feel like our deck is particularly well suited to deal with what my opponent's deck is going to be doing. But, yeah. We weren't seeing many Lurker aggro decks anymore, so I was assuming everyone gave it up like I did, but I guess not. Oh, wow! Wow, it's not just us. Other people can miss the Lurk trigger. I don't believe it. I didn't think it was possible. I thought it was only us. Oh. Well, that feels good. I'm seriously tempted to, like, sharp sight kill that right now. We're not going to, but because I think we'd rather keep the sharp sight to buff our Shyvana. Okay. Yep, tuck something. Guaranteed that you actually lurk this time. Reasonable. He has the perfect name for playing Lurk. Maybe next time when he misses a Lurk trigger.
The fight just isn't the same without you, Anna.
I am always here when you need me.
Okay, well, we will do that. I think that's better than leaving the mana up for sharp sight. We're not terribly likely to lose our Shyvana this turn. Yeah. Alright. Well, he got the guaranteed lurk. we knew he had that. Alright, well we will... I'm very tempted to play Zoe, but we will play Screeching Dragon. Okay. Snapjaw Swarm? Snapjaw Swarm, and he's guaranteeing that it lurks. Casting a spell. Oh, is it Pike killing Shyvana? That's unfortunate. Oh, that's very unfortunate. I mean, at least we have another one in hand, but... yeah, that doesn't feel great. Oh, wait. Never mind. Never mind. Doesn't actually kill Shyvana. You know what? I think we could trade the board here, right? Oh, she's a scene trigger? Okay, well then we don't. We leave her back, even though we have another one in hand. Okay. Finish the job, got it. Got it. Alright. Well, we're definitely on the second Shyvana plan now. Yep. End round. That's fine. Draws the Pike. Oh, now I can Dragon Chow plus Shyvana? That's sweet. We like that. Now I can Dragon Chow plus Shyvana plus Sharp Sight. Ooh. I think we do eat that, right? He has Pike in hand, we know that. Oh, that's funny. What a weird surrender. But yeah, we eat the Snapjaw, we get Fury there, then we play Shyvana, who eats the Dragon Chow, and we have Sharp Sight up, so we can probably block with Shyvana and have her live. But then we take the one hit. But we are in pretty good shape at that point, now that he's just on one card in hand, so... yeah, I mean, that game was looking good for us, but weird scoop. But we'll take it. Bilgewater Burn. Alright. Well, we're looking for life gain. We're looking for low drops and life gain. There's life gain and there's low drops. And we'll pitch the other two. That's wonderful. That's actually fantastic. Dragon Chow to block turn 2 and then... or turn 1 and then turn 2 we play Mountain Goat. And then turn 3 we have Sharp Sight up.
I have my
We definitely blocked that instantly. Okay, then we play the Mountain Goat. Although, you know, I'm thinking about this Sharp Sight next turn, but it would be really good to Sharp Sight with the Fangs. Oh, maybe we should have swung with Goat there, because if he wanted the trade, we should have been willing to take it. Oops.
Everything's in place. Behind you.
Okay. So the only way things live. So best thing to do here is do this. Because then we kill everything. Okay. We still kill everything. It sucks that we lose the Dragon Chow there for that kind of investment, but that's fine. Yeah, we get to Fangs next turn? That's pretty good. Oh, we have another Sharp Sight for the Fangs. That's also pretty good. What do we think here? Equinox is good for Jack the Winners and Captain Farron's, but Charger's good for blocking anything. I don't think we're terribly worried right at this moment of Jack the Winners. Okay, we do not swing here, because we are looking to like Concerted Strike or Sharp Sight. One of a bunch of different things that we could do. Okay, so we probably Charger this turn.
Dead men tell my tale.
There's not much we can do about that, though. Huh. He has put me in a tough position here. Oh, he's gonna cast a spell first? Well, that's wonderful. Okay, this could still go wrong for us, but I think we do just have to go for this. And if he has another Make It Rain, that sucks. Okay. Now, I could have killed the Keg, and then I wouldn't have lost the, Fangs. But then he still has... That was a very foolish scoop. He was still very much playing live. He had a handful of cards. What? I mean, we'll take that, but that's wild. That's crazy. On to the next. Pilch Wood and Burn again. It really, like, did people just think that the Make It Rain and Misfortune buffs were enough for this? I mean, both of those are really good for this deck, don't get me wrong. But that just seems a bit wild. I mean, I love that deck, but I just don't see it. Okay, Sharp Sight's nice. We have the Dragon Chow turn 1 to block.
In position. Behind you.
We have the turn 1 and the turn 1 Dragon Chow to block into turn 2 3/2 into turn 3 Sharp Sight. So yeah, worked well for us last time. This is worse than the Mountain Goat, obviously, but since we don't have the dragon to behold, but I don't think so. I was thinking about open swinging here, but that Sharp Sight play is just so good that I feel like that's just better for us. And we have a Sharp Sight for the Fangs. It's not bad.
Be nothing left when I'm done.
That's scary. That right there is scary.
See it coming.
Okay, so we do this. He did not Make It Rain, so that's good, because that would have been disastrous for us. Now if he Make It Rains, he just saves the Dreadway deckhand, but he still loses Saboteur. Well, so far, Dragon Chow has lived. You can still Make It Rain and kill Dragon Chow, though. Shyvana off the top. That's unfortunate. Well, I mean, I guess it forces us to play the Fangs, which is for the best. Okay, I mean, we like free creatures.
Remember the objective.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Now we can kill that. Now we can kill that. I mean, he's getting closer to leveling up his Gangplank, which that sucks. But, oh, wait, I forgot about the nerf. I forgot about the nerf. Oh, all of our cards are so bad now. Alright, see what our opponent does this turn. You know, maybe we want to actually hold this Screeching Dragon so we can field promotion it. That might actually be good. And then we just Sharp Sight this turn? I think that can work. Do we just lose the Dragon Chow then? Is that the game we're playing? So we just do this? This is sketchy. I'm playing really greedily. Yeah, because he does something like that, and now we're really low. Yeah. Yep. We're getting punished for the greed. Okay. I mean, I like the idea of that. Ugh, that's just not going to be a good idea, though. Well, now we can start eating things. What is his last card in hand? Uh-oh, that's one of the best cards he could have. Okay, off the top, we're gonna need something good or we're dead.
Got something for him.
Through the coral.
Okay.
Victory at any cost.
Okay. So, we hush, we block, I think, right? Or actually, no, because we wanna kill this. We might as well block here, or if we block here, we're dead. Oh, because we die before. Yeah, I mean, just do that. We really wanted to give Radiant Guardian. I mean, it doesn't matter. We're probably dead. We're probably dead regardless, yeah. So, it doesn't matter. We're not holding the combat spells that we needed to live there, but, yeah, my opponent drew obscenely well, and we drew very, very poorly, drawing all of our field promotions, so... Yeah, we don't win those games, that's for sure, so on to the next. Alright, so how do we do in our matches? Well, we went 3-2 overall in the matches we played, and that brings me to a total of 3-3 for this patch, but only played 6 games, and to be fair, the very first game was kind of a massive misplay on my part, because apparently I didn't realize... somehow that playing the Give Scout to something and then playing Sunforger meant that it wasn't going to get life gain. And so I did that instead of playing a good card. So, you know, kind of lost my first game I played against Bilgewater Burn to some real dumb rookie mistakes. But other than that, 3-2, which... that's kind of the win rate I'd expect the deck to have. It's kind of got some Jundier aspects to it, where essentially it can win any game, but it can also lose against any deck, so you end up close to the 50% win rate. I know some people have been talking up this deck right now, and I actually do think it's probably even better now than it was last patch, which is part of the reason that we decided to play it, because I played a new deck, I played some old decks, and I decided, well, this was an old deck that was good, that could be competitive, so figured I'd play that, get a different deck guide in, because Lurk Aggro is terrible. It's absolutely the worst. It's the most infuriating deck I've ever played in my life. When you run only 6 cards that are non-Lurk triggers, and you miss 3 Lurk triggers in one game, that... yeah, that's not good for your blood pressure, and so I decided Lurk Aggro is not a deck for me, and also it's just a bad deck. Having played against it several times, it is a bad deck. It just is. It has so many matchups it loses, so a lot of people are playing it right now, but What we're seeing a lot more of is things like Bilgewater Burn, because that just crushes Lurk aggro, as well as a lot of other decks. It's a really good aggro deck that got buffed. Only a tiny bit, but it did get buffed. So the Make It Rain buff's actually the biggest of the buffs. Well, it's not a buff, a revert. Reverting that changed it. So the Dragons deck has a decent chance against Bilgewater Burn. At least more so than Dragons had against Azir Aurelia, because we can kind of line up against their stuff a lot better, especially if we go like turn 1 Dragon Chow, turn 2 Mountain Goat or other 3/2, and then the Sharp Sight or a 3-drop, something like that. That curve out's really, really good into Burn, and we do have a number of life gain sources through things like, the Fangs, and also Sun Forger, and even better, of course, is the Radiant Guardian. But we have lots of incidental life gain, which is really, really good. If I was to keep playing this deck going forward, which I might, I would probably try to get 2 copies of Star Shaping in, just so that you have that really great heal and late game payoff, which is kind of really good for dealing with Bilgewater Burn, to gain that much and give you something massive. Gangplank's not as big a problem for a deck like Dragons to begin with, because you can slam an Eclipse Dragon and be like, sure, have a barrel and an attack trigger on your Gangplank. I'm going to eat him still and take no damage from Overwhelm. So, yeah, it's seems like a decent answer to Bilgewater Burn, which is pretty big right now. So that's a plus for Dragons. I think the nerfs to Azir Aurelia should help the matchup a little bit, although I think you're still probably not favored. And then I think Ezreal Draven got nerfed, right? Barely, but it was the Rummage, so that helps. Thresh Nasus should still be a good matchup, I think, because of Hush, although since I'm down to 2 Hushes in my list, that might not be as good. But I'm really not expecting to see much Thresh Nasus, because I think that deck is like hard bad now, since it doesn't have Fearsome anymore, on the level 1 Nasus, that is. But yeah, interesting meta we find ourselves in the sense that there's a lot of people playing Lurk aggro, there's a lot of people playing Zillion Echo, but it still feels like the best decks are pretty much the same decks from last meta, only now Bilgewater Burn has made its way back out, which, considering it's probably my most played deck all time, I'm kind of excited to play Bilgewater Burn again. But yeah, Azir Aurelia is not nearly as hurt as some people probably thought. I kind of felt the nerfs weren't that big, and I played a bunch of Azir Aurelia on this patch, and it's still definitely good. But yeah, Dragons is in a better spot. So I guess I can understand why some people are S-tiering it, because it was already kind of a good deck in the last patch, that as long as you dodge like the worst matchups, which was the most played deck at the time, but if you dodge that matchup, you did fairly well with the deck. So it's in an even better spot now, so I guess that does push it up to probably the S tier. I definitely have to play some more of it myself to really say for certain where it's at in the meta, but it does seem like fairly strong. The only nerf was to Star Shaping, and it's still probably good enough to run in the list, let alone the fact that the list wasn't even really running it to begin with. So I'm probably going to try to bring it into mine, but I definitely would consider continuing to play some more Dragons, because I do think it's got a solid shot in the meta right now. So if you like the deck yourself, there is a deck code and a deck link in the description below. If you like the video, you can leave a like, comment below, and subscribe for more card game related content.